We live in a pretty great era for collecting toys. Not only are a lot of the major toy companies producing things that are directed specifically at our interests, but we're at kind of an all-time high for amazing independent toy companies. And sometimes these indie toy companies, which are comprised of fans of toys, are making some of the coolest and most interesting stuff. And we're going to talk about one of those new toy lines here today. Hey guys, I am Pixel Dan. Thank you for joining me for another video here on my channel. Real quick, if you are new to the channel and you enjoy what you see here today, please consider hitting that subscribe button so that you never miss out on one of my toy videos just like this one. So independent toy companies, it seems like they're on a rise, right? There's been lots of great indie toy companies over the years who are producing some really cool stuff. A lot of things that are homages to things that we grew up with and loved, all the way to just coming up with their own original ideas. And sometimes it's a mashup of both of those things. Like what we're gonna talk about today with a new proposed toy line called Monstors. Monstors is a 5.5-inch toy line that is currently running on Kickstarter. It is run by David Igo, who does have experience currently in the toy industry, but this is the first time that he is branching out to make his very own toy line. And what he has created here is pretty cool. It's definitely right up my alley. You see, he's going for 5.5-inch action figures that are inspired by all of those 80s and 90s toy lines that are whimsical and just weird. And that is perfect for me. All of those weirdo toy lines that are buff and strange looking and bright and colorful. You know exactly the toys I'm talking about. And that is what Monstors aims to be. Now, this is an actively running Kickstarter, but what we're talking about here today are the actual figures, because David was kind enough to send me these early work-in-progress prototypes so that I can get hands-on with them and we can take a look at what to expect from this brand new Monstors toy line. So without further ado, let's jump in and check out these prototypes. Okay, so what we've got here in front of us are prototypes for the two main figures from the Monstors toy line. Over here we have Sham Mumu, and over here we have Cobra. It's worth noting, these are both resin prototypes. So the actual figures that you would be receiving if you support the Kickstarter will be full production action figures that will be articulated. It's always important to note that anytime we're looking at any of these prototypes like this, things are still in progress, things are still being improved upon, articulation is still being properly added, so the final figure will vary slightly from what we're looking at here today, but looking at these resin prototypes up close should give us a really good idea of what to expect with this proposed new toy line. So these figures are in the 5.5-inch scale. From their toes to the tops of their heads, they are 5.5. You can see with like Cobra over here, he does stand a bit taller if we're counting his little scorpion tail over the back. So the idea here is that these are sort of in a retro style, and even like a retro aesthetic. A lot of those kind of monster-ish type toys that would have come out in the 1980s and the 1990s. We're definitely going to do some size comparisons in just a little bit, because I think it's really important so that you guys know what to expect with these. But let's go ahead and take a closer look at each of these resin prototypes kind of one by one here. We will start off with Sham Mumu here. So the idea, the concept, of course, is it's sort of like two animals mixed together. With Sham Mumu, we've got like a bull mixed with an orca whale or a killer whale here. And you can see the way that these two animals have like been incorporated here together. For example, like I love how the whole back here almost looks like the back half of a whale. You can see the big tail sticking off the back. Amazing little details like the barnacles down here stuck to the tails, stuck to the top of the fin. But you can see the legs are much more bull-like, and then the head there is a good combination of like a whale head with the bull horns on there. A lot of really great details. Like I love the tooth necklace that he's wearing. I love the bandolier with the starfish going across it. You can see he's got like a shark jaw, I guess, for his belt with a little cowbell hanging off the front of it. There's tentacles, there's little hooks hanging off the side, like the tattoos on the arms. The details here are incredible. Did you notice this little detail up here on the shoulder? I love this. It's like a shoulder pad, but you can see it's like a crab that's like clawing onto a shoulder, like with a shell up on the top. I just think little things like that are so incredibly cool and definitely reminds me of some of our favorite toy lines from the 80s and the 90s. Obviously, this has got a lot of inspiration from some of those anthropomorphic lines that we love, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Street Sharks or anything of that variety, especially with the way the detailing is on these. I think it's really cool. You can see he's got this giant anchor for a weapon. Again, that's got the barnacles on there, which is very cool. So articulation on these particular resin prototypes isn't exactly what we're going to see on the final figure. We should see like swivels at the heads. We'll have the movement at the arms. We'll actually do have the twist at the waist there, so that type of articulation should be the same on all of these figures when they're in production. I did get a nice little breakdown of all of the parts there. You can see the figure kind of blown apart, but that gives you an idea of each of the places where the figure should feature some articulation, so that is really good to know. Each of these figures are also going to come with a little buddy sidekick, which I also love. That, again, totally reminds me of TMNT, right? The little solid color buddy figures were very cool. So you can see with Sham Mumu here, we've got this great little starfish buddy. So expressive. I mean, look at the face on that. The crazy teeth, the wide eyes. I love the way he's kind of curled around. I like how he's almost like, it almost to me looks like he's on his knees, which is kind of funny. But just a really, really fun little addition. I love that they're getting the little buddy characters. So that brings us over here to Sting Cobra, another incredible looking figure. This one obviously being a mashup of a cobra snake and a scorpion. I'm not gonna lie, this is definitely my favorite of the two. This is just right up my alley, man. I absolutely love this. Fantastic details on here. You can see he's got like the clawed hands like a scorpion. He's got one larger one. He's got one smaller claw over here. And again, some really great details. Like look at all the little skulls and bones and teeth hanging off of his belt and his bandolier. We got bird skulls up here on his shoulder, like the jaw bones coming down the side. Holy cow. This thing is amazing. And of course, you got that great cobra-like head there with the hood that opens up over the shoulders. But then on the back, we've got the amazing scorpion tail, which curls all the way around. So since this is just a resin prototype, we don't have any articulation in here yet. It's definitely going to have at least one point of articulation, a swivel, but I was also told that they're looking to articulate this in multiple points. So it's one of those things you definitely want to pay attention to the Kickstarter as progress is going on the creation of these toys so that you'll be able to see exactly where he's going to articulate. But otherwise, yeah, looking absolutely incredible. I think the detailed sculpts on these just are really, really amazing. I love how good these look. And it's one of those things where they feel very retro as far as like the idea for this toy line, but that sculpting is so good. The details are so good. If the paint deco and everything comes out just like this on the final product, it's definitely a lot more of what we would see in more modern toys rather than the retro stuff that usually left a lot of things unpainted and everything. Now, we can't go without talking about the little buddy figure that comes with Sting Cobra here, because he's this amazing little spider dude right here who, again, has such a great expressive detail on there. I love how like he's got two of his arms above his head like, what? He's got one like kind of beckoning you to come forward. And if you turn him around, he's holding a knife behind his back. I mean, come on. What a cool looking little bonus accessory. These little buddy characters are amazing. I'm so glad that they're included. So for me, it's Also really important to show how these fit in with some other toy lines that you would expect. So I wanted to put these up against several other toy lines that you might have in your collection, just so that you know exactly how these are going to measure up with some of those other figures. But I did think it was important to stand them up alongside things like Masters of the Universe, and of course Masters of the Universe Origins, since that's the current retro style line that Mattel is putting out, just so you can see how these guys might fit in with those. Now aesthetically, the style is a bit different. These guys are heftier and bulkier, but scale-wise, they do measure up with a 5.5 figure. I also wanted to throw them in with some other retro 5.5s like Remco's Warrior Beasts, and I think it's fun to kind of see what these look like alongside some of my other favorite retro figures. But of course, these also give strong 90s toys vibes, so throwing him in there with the Street Sharks, and you can see that, again, aesthetically, a little different, right? The design is different, but this is where you can see how they measure up with some of those Street Sharks figures. And of course, we've got to show them with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They do tower over the vintage TMNT figures, but they do remind me a lot of that. Honestly, these remind me a lot of like some sort of a mashup. Like if you mashed up Motu and Turtles and maybe a little bit of Street Sharks in there, that's kind of what these feel like to me, which again, totally speaks to me. It's my kind of toy. So there are a variety of other figures that are being offered. There's some color variations and some glow-in-the-dark variations, but I was also sent these little acrylic mock-ups. These are just acrylic stands that show you 2 other characters that will also be offered here. So obviously sculpts for these aren't done yet. And you can see they kind of reuse parts, but they do have different heads, so they're sort of different characters, different shark-like character, and another scorpion like lizard type character over here as well. So just kind of putting those right there to see the full range of what could be offered when this is successful, or if this is successful, if you choose to support this over on Kickstarter. But I think these are great. I think these are awesome. I love seeing original ideas like this, and this is something that I definitely hope is successful, because I think we need more of this kind of stuff out there. So there you go, a hands-on look at the prototypes for the proposed Monstors toy line. So these are work in progress. I just want to keep reiterating that just so you guys know. I do really appreciate David allowing me to borrow these so that we can get hands-on with them, because I think getting a chance to really see the physical thing and show it up close is really helpful for deciding if this is something that you actually want to support. There's going to be some more updates, obviously, so if this is something you're interested in, I would definitely recommend at least following the Kickstarter so you can see all of the updates as they happen. One of the things I didn't really mention already is that they are also planning for a part swapping feature with these, so there should be some interchangeability between the figures, but again, that is all still being worked out and will be updated as this Kickstarter moves on. If this is something that you're interested in, you can definitely check it out over on Kickstarter right now. I will make sure I link that in the video description below. I believe the price per figure on the Kickstarter is $55 per figure. Retail after the Kickstarter will be $59.99 per figure, but only through the Kickstarter. They have bundles available where if you buy both figures, you're getting both for $99, so it'll save you a little bit more money there. But if you don't want to go the Kickstarter route, it is worth noting that these are also available for pre-order over at Big Bad Toy Store. I know some folks would just rather pre-order a figure, so they are available there as well. One of the other things that David wanted me to mention is that one of the things they're offering on the Kickstarter are donation sets, where they're selling a pair of the figures at cost. It's $80 for the pair, and that pair of figures gets donated to Toys for Tots, children's hospitals, and other charities such as that. So if you're in the giving mood as well and you want to make sure that some kids can also experience these cool toys, I thought that was a really neat option to have available on the Kickstarter. So I think that's a very cool thing to mention. So there you guys go, a look at the upcoming or the proposed Monstors toy line currently available on Kickstarter. I hope you guys enjoyed this hands-on look today. I do always like getting the opportunity to take a look at some of these prototypes just to see what some of these smaller toy designers are coming up with, comparing it to some of the other toys that are out there. It's always fun to see some of these original properties. You know, so many things today are based on IP, and I get it, IP sells. But I do long for the day sometimes where you would walk down the toy aisles and discover something brand new that you've never seen before. And stuff like this is really as close as we get to that today. So I do like seeing a lot of this stuff. And even if it doesn't all appeal to me, I do think it's great that it exists and that it's out there. These do, however, appeal to me. This is totally my type of toy. So is it your type of toy? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And again, definitely make sure you guys check them out over on Kickstarter. At least give them a follow so you can stay up to date on what the plans are for the toy line. Hey guys, thank you so very much for watching this video. I truly, truly appreciate it. If you did enjoy it, please consider hitting that like button and that subscribe button. You can also check me out over on Patreon if that's something that you're into. Stay tuned, new toy videos like this one, like toy reviews, like toy news, all that good stuff happens every single Saturday. Until next time, my friends.